going to. Amsterdam is an incredibly important city. Again, I'm not going to go into it because I'll be here for 2 hours. It's gorgeous. It's super iconic. It's people talk about it as the Venice of the North, but personally, I see Venice as the Amsterdam of the South. I know I'm going to fight with the Italians again. I know I have to poke you guys a little bit, but Amsterdam is a fantastic place to go. It's absolutely beautiful. It is a little bit crowded. The population of Amsterdam is generally less than about 1 million, a little less than 1 million. It gets upwards of 20 million visitors a year. That's an insane amount of people. So I put in the mailing list when I sent out that I was surprised the first time I heard someone say they didn't like Amsterdam. And then they started explaining why. And they talked about the crowds, because then the garbage and all that, because the crowds, that popularity means not only do they get a lot of visitors, they get the worst visitors. Because it's, what is Amsterdam known for? Prostitution, marijuana, parties, stag parties, all of that. But it's also this. It's also beautiful and scenic and just calm and tons of history. It's really a lovely place. So how do you go? And how do you get the most out of the city without getting swarmed? The trick to that is, Amsterdam's a great place to practice the idea of there is no right answer for travel. The travel industry, we create these best of tours because it's places we absolutely love, but we don't mean to say it's the right answer. So people sometimes think there's a single way to do it. The trick is you have to think about what you want and where your personal comfort zone, how much crowd do you want, how much exotic do you want, how much discomfort can you handle, all of those things. Amsterdam is a great option for kind of mid-range on all of that. It's exotic enough to be interesting, but they all speak English. It is crowded in a lot of places, but you can't escape them. This is actually really close to the center, not far from the Anne Frank house, and it was just this lady rowing in the morning. Then right after that, the next photo in the series was a tour boat chasing her down the street because they do share the space. But how do you enjoy Amsterdam with all those crowds without being overwhelmed by them? I think some of those places are famous. They're famous for a reason. They're famous because they do have a lot to show you. We just heard about Cinque Terre in Rome. They're fantastic places to go. There's a reason they go there. So in Amsterdam, one of the main spots to go is the Rijksmuseum. Now, I cut out a couple of slides while Karen was talking, and my computer is paying the price as it catches up. Okay, here we go. The Rijksmuseum. It's a museum. And I see a lot of people in art museums, and they don't want to be there. So if you really don't like art and you feel like you should go, don't go. I hereby give you permission to ignore the art museums. However, if you're curious about why they're famous, why they're popular, why people talk about these things, the Rijksmuseum, I think, is a top one to go to. Because if you've been to the Louvre, if you've been to the Vatican, the Uffizi, the other great museums in the world, you'll quickly notice differences about the Rijksmuseum, namely not that many Christian artwork in there. So to really understand what's different about it, what it tells you about the Netherlands, the Low Countries, and the foundations of Western civilization itself, get a guide. This is one of the top places worth going, but get a guide to go in there. Because, even this building itself, the new entrance, it just looks nifty. You go, okay, they hung a bunch of bars from the top just for giggles. But it actually is a really sophisticated sound dampening mechanism, and that entire room is floating. It's a boat. Anyway, the guides will tell you all about it. So go to the Rijksmuseum. Some of it will be really crowded. You'll have a lot of people you got to get past to take the picture of the little thing. However, that's Vermeer's Milkmaid. That painting, I always take the opportunity to go stand in front of it because it's so loving. It's so just like intimately done with that painting. It feels like time traveling to visit an old friend because it's just so human. It's a fantastic painting, and listening to great guides helped me understand that. So some of these things that are famous are worth it. I get a lot of people go all the way to Den Haag to go to the Maurits house to see the girl with the pearl earring because Scarlett Johansson is something special. So they want to go see what she made a movie about. That painting is good too. But these ones in the Rijksmuseum, I think, are even better. So they're worth going to see. However, once you're done with that crowd, go to one floor down. I left the crowd one day because I had enough of crowds. And I snuck over here. And that whole wing was such amazing things, amazing artifacts from all throughout Dutch history, all around the world. And I was standing in front of this one, which is, you know, one of these astrological devices that they use, because the Dutch sailors changed the world with the Dutch East Indies Company. And I'm standing there in front of this amazing thing, and I was the only one in the room. That kind of experience isn't always possible in these museums, but it's more common than you would think. The Rijksmuseum is a great example. Now, if you're feeling a little Eurocentric, and I keep wandering, I went downstairs another floor, and I wound up in their Asian art section, and it just made my week, because that one in front just exudes calm. I got credit for 2 weeks of meditation in an ashram, just standing in front of that thing. And then the two guys in the back are these amazing temple guardian sculptures from Sri Lanka, I think, memory serves. It's just an amazing museum. It's worth going in, and you can avoid the crowds. But as you circulate around enjoying it, just pay attention to what you're enjoying, because eventually you'll get this, where you're standing in front of an incredibly ornate chest. It has its own story to tell, and you're kind of like the people on the couch there. You're thinking, yeah, I could look at that chest, or I could play some Candy Crush and rest my feet. Once you hit that point, it's okay, you can go. I give you permission. You went to the museum. You're not a prisoner there. You're not a student where you can't clock out yet. You're free and on your own trip. So leave the museum. I always leave and go here. It's my favorite restaurant. It's in the area. It's about a 15-minute walk. It's not exceptional. I can tell you where it is if you want. Just message me. But it's not that exceptional. I just love it because it's great people watching. This picture's not good. It was pouring rain. It's just the only picture I had that actually showed the food. Because whenever I sit down, I start eating before I think, oh, it's the 21st century. You have to photograph your food every time. But that's a 12 uurtje, they call it, a 12 o'clock meal. So you get a little cup of soup, a croquette, some nice bread, the mayo, the mustard, and you just have a nice snack and watch the people go. Once you're kind of refueled and refreshed, you can keep walking. So you take off any direction you want. As I went from there, walked into the neighborhoods, I found, these are just two examples of the things you find. The one on the left there is a local fighter in the resistance. The story is in Dutch there, but if you have your phone, you can use the Translate app, and you learn all about a woman who lived basically in that building and her part in the Dutch resistance during World War II. The other statue is with the Dutch Antilles heritage, another local artist, and it added so much more to the feeling of Amsterdam as a living city with so much history. And there's no crowds there because it's not right in the center. You just keep wandering around. Wander as much as you can. You stop for coffee or something every now and then. And if you keep wandering until nighttime, that's okay too, because it's incredibly safe. Basically, the more popular a place is, the more likely you have pickpockets, right? This is logical. Anywhere where you have a lot of tourists, you have a lot of people looking to help them carry their phones forever. If you go outside of the main area where there are tons of drunk, stoned, the worst tourists, they're much easier prey than you. So you can walk around Amsterdam all you want. You're not going to have a problem anywhere. So I was walking around. This is way out on the edge of the old town. And you just find these lovely little squares. I don't actually even remember where it was. I remember my feet were good and tired by the time I got there. But you just keep wandering around. Have a great day in Amsterdam. If you do want to see more things it's known for, you get options. In the upper left there is the Anne Frank house. That location is really sacred on my mental map. She actually, between reading her book and talking about her for years, she's I don't know, sacred to me. Like it maybe sounds weird, but I kind of like love her. So the Anne Frank house is definitely worth going to, but you can see a lot of people go there. So if you do want to touch base with that period of human history, it's not just German history, it's not just Dutch history, it's human history. Amsterdam has at least 4 different places you can do that. All 3 of the other ones. You have the National Holocaust Museum in the upper right, another one of the monuments that has the names, and then kind of a small one in the park in the bottom right. If you're curious where they are, I can tell you, but if you just walk around or Google it, you'll find them. There are always different options. You can go to the famous ones, or you can go to something very similar that does not nearly have the crowds, but it's the same thing. Another case in point, Dutch beer. Now the Belgians are better at beer. I got to be honest, but the Dutch love their Heineken. You can go to the Heineken experience. You will hear English and Spanish and German and French and Swahili and Tagalog and Tigrinya. You won't hear Dutch in there. Or you can go to the Brouwerij Het Ei. Now, Dutch loves these huge words. They get these like ridiculous 57 syllable words. The fact that this brewery is called Day means that when the Dutch have had a couple pints, they don't really want to speak their own language either. So you can go to that one. It's an Amsterdam-based brewery, fantastic beer. You sit under a blooming windmill for crying out loud, and you will hear Dutch there. Also English, they'll speak that, whatever. But you'll hear a ton of Dutch. It's just another opportunity. Then as you go, another fairly popular place, but it doesn't feel like tourist press, is the Vondelpark. It's really close to the Rijksmuseum, so it's a great option for afterwards. I actually crossed it to get to that restaurant I like. You go there, and if it's a sunny day, oh mamma mia, the Dutch love their sunlight. Whether it's freezing cold or not, if there's sunlight, they're out in it. And now after being here for a Dutch winter, I can definitely understand why. You go to the Vondelpark, you sit on a bench, you watch the people go by, you randomly start talking to someone. The Netherlands loves their books, their bookstores. They have a great literature culture. Pick up a book and go sit somewhere and read. Just hang out in the Vondelpark all day if you want. It's a great way to feel like you're part of Amsterdam. If you get hungry while you're there, that's one of the 3 restaurants that are in the park, so you can just go for it. There are a ton of things nearby to enjoy. Then once you're ready to keep walking, nearby there too is the Pape. That's one of these worker neighborhoods. You've probably heard of the Jordaan. That one is more famous for being one of these parts of the city that was worker housing, which initially it used to be a bad neighborhood. Now with kind of gentrification and living in what's really a very peaceful century, it's become a really great area. The Jordaan is wonderful, but full of tourists. The Pape is wonderful and full of Dutch people and international students. So you'll still hear other languages, but you hear a lot of Dutch. It's just a great place to walk around, and it tells more of the story of the city. You've got like this one. Whenever I walk around there without paying attention, when I walk around these cities, I just cross whichever way the light is green. So I don't have a plan. I just walk whichever way fate tells me to go. And I always end up passing this because it's so central. It's a big kind of ugly 20th century building, but it's part of the story. And the lower level is all restaurants. So that entire square is constantly full of people eating and drinking and laughing and telling jokes. The Dutch are enormous. They're all 6 foot, 11 and a half inches. And they say it's because they drink milk. The Belgians say it's because they know they're going to flood, so they're trying to grow tall enough that they don't drown. I think it's because they just laugh so much. They're just so darn relaxed. Their bodies are like, why not? Let's grow another 3 inches. So you go there, you're surrounded by enormous laughing Dutch people, and it's just a pleasure. As you walk through the Pape, it's also historical. You get this great building, but it's not as tightly controlled as the inner part of the city. So you'll get whimsical people doing whimsical stuff on their house. You get this little gnome. I just remember him as I was walking around there too. It's just a great neighborhood. Now I'm kind of going down the list away from more common things. This one always baffles me. It used to be called the Tropical Museum. Now it's called the World Museum, the Wereld Museum, because it joined with the one in Rotterdam. It's an amazing museum. It's not too far to walk to. And if you're thinking, oh, another museum, I'm going to look at more art. I wanted to pick a couple of representative things, and I spent about 3 hours just thinking I want to go there and see that too. And I couldn't pick images. So I just took a screenshot of their homepage this afternoon. They just have so many things on offer, and none of them are stodgy, dusty museum type things. They're all just so fascinating. So that's a great option. Further great options, both for just enjoying museums, enjoying culture, enjoying moving around. If you go back to Central Station, behind Central Station where the harbor was, they have free ferries that go up across the water there. You can go across there, this water right here, and you'll get 2 iconic buildings that a lot of people recognize, and haven't been to. The one on the right, the former Shell headquarters, you go up top there, you can go on a swing set that swings out over the edge of the building. If you want to do that, go for it. But that kind of spaceship looking white one in the middle there, that's the Film Museum. The Film Museum too is the same thing. I was so enamored of it, I just took a screenshot. This is just what was playing, I think, what they were talking about today. You just have a huge variety of really interesting films, all sorts of interesting things to see, watch a little bit, sit down, rest your dogs, watch something from some part of the world. Because part of the defining characteristic of the Netherlands is that they're very international. If you want a little edgier, you can keep going. Further off, a little bit west of there, is this one, the NDSM Wharf. They did the same thing there that they do even better in Rotterdam here, where they take old wharf areas that they don't really need, and they turn them into big museums and cultural centers for modern art and sculptures and cultural events and awareness raising, all sorts of cool stuff. So there are a ton of these options. Now, I didn't put up the addresses of them, but this next one is kind of the most important thing, because that loop would help you visit all the things I mentioned today, and a couple more that I cut out because I'm going to talk too much about Amsterdam. But this is important because if you look in the middle there where it says Amsterdam and you have those rows of canals, that's the part of Amsterdam everyone goes and sees. That's the famous part. That's the part where you can't walk down the street without pushing past 50 people and getting a contact high from the stag party guys. But once you leave that area, you get to real Amsterdam very quickly. You know, just 10-minute walk outside of that central part, it gets real Dutch, real interesting, real quick. Now, the other thing that I think is really crucial about over tourism today, last point, is these places that have so much tourism get that because they're really amazing. You know, you have to go to Rome at some point during your life. You have to go to Amsterdam at some point during your life. They're just, you know, you should stand in front of the David at some point in your life. But when you go, my advice is don't spend the whole trip there. You got to balance it. Spend a little bit of time there and then leave. Go somewhere you've never heard of. None of your friends have been, none of your coworkers have been, none of your other generations or cousins or whatever have been. Find another place. Now, this same idea of just getting outside the center works for the whole country. Amsterdam is the start point right in the middle there. And then I just offhand jotted down a couple of my favorite places to go. And sure enough, you can just do a loop around the country if you want. You go up to Alkmaar in the north. Haarlem, some folks have heard about. Leiden is my personal top recommendation for people who want a home base. Den Haag, of course, Rotterdam. If you come to Rotterdam, you have to message me and I'll tell you why this place is amazing. Den Bosch, Utrecht, Amersfoort. There are a lot in Almere. So go to these places, go to whichever of the famous sites actually appeal to you, that you're actually interested in, and then wander around. Amsterdam, one of my favorite tips that I follow my own advice every time I go, is it's really easy to take public transit in the Netherlands. You just take your credit card and you just beep on when you get there, and then you beep off when you leave. So you can leave anytime you want. So I get on the tram and I just ride whatever tram came first until I look out the window and see an area I don't know that looks good. And then I beep out and I go wander around a new area. I've done that, I think, for 5-6 years now. And every time I go, I find some new area of town that I absolutely love. You can do it in the whole country. You just tag onto the train, look out the train window. When you get somewhere, get up and leave. Everywhere is safe. Everywhere will speak English. Everywhere has good food. Croquettes, bitterballen, beer, and just wander around the country. It's just a great place to be. The last point, I know I said last point, but the last point is in terms of finding your own trip that you want to take, one of the main things to do is figure out how much do you like talking to new people? Do you easily strike up conversations with complete strangers on the street? The Netherlands is your country because they will happily talk to you and they speak your language. If you want to go with the giant groups with 200 people that get off the boat together, you can absolutely do that here too. Or if you want to go with, say, a group of 15 people maximum, you can find a trip that'll go there too. My Benelux tour will take you to Amsterdam, as well as a bunch of other places.